Welcome to a new video. Today we will be having our session 3 for English for academic and professional purposes. What we will be discussing today is in connection with your week 4 LAS or learning activity sheets or modified assessment sheets. Okay, so let's start. Last week we discussed about critic paper, topic and thesis statement, and then also the 4 literary criticism theories that we brushed upon. But today our objectives focuses on defining what a concept paper is and distinguishing it from other kinds of academic paper. The use of definition and different techniques of defining to expand the meaning of the concept and to enhance critical thinking abilities in evaluating the content and structure of a concept paper. So let's go. Let's begin with the concept paper. So if in critical approaches or critic paper, you are assessing or evaluating a certain material, in a concept paper, you are defining or explaining a concept. So as you can see here, a concept paper defines an idea or a concept. These concepts could be objects, topics in science, in math, in statistics, in calculus. Could be also in communication, topics in English, Filipino, and all those. But its idea or its purpose is to clarify what the idea or concept is by answering the questions, what is it and what is it about? It has different purposes. It could serve as a foundation of the full proposal. If you remember in reading and writing, you have discussed about project proposals. So this is what this proposal means or is talking about or referring to in this example. It also helps determine whether a certain project is feasible or not. When we say feasible, is it attainable? Is it doable? It is also used to pique the interest of the potential funding agencies. So since you are going to present your project proposal into a panel, or it may be your employer or your professor, instructor, so this concept paper will help you get or attain their interest about your project. You can also use this to get or obtain informal feedback on the ideas that you present prior or before preparing your full and actual project proposal. So it has different parts. Aside from the fact that it ranges from 500 to 2,000 words, it could also have different parts depending on the material or academic text that it is attached to. So if this concept paper is for a project, it must have a cover page, introduction, rationale or background, project description, project needs and costs. But if it is for an academic research, it must contain the title page, background of the study, preliminary literature review. Take note of the word preliminary. You're not going to provide your full literature review. You will just provide them a brief collection of your main literature review. And then statement of the problem, abridged methodology, meaning the shortened version of your methodology, the timeline wherein you are going to accomplish your research, and then the citation of your references. It may also be written in different points of view. If you are writing a feature article, editorial article, or other authentic materials such as inspirational articles, it could be subjective or personal. But if you are writing journal essays, when we say journal, we're not pertaining to your diary. The journal being pertained to here are scholarly articles that are published by universities or some organizations and so on, academic and scientific discussions, and philosophical articles. So if you write those, you must use an objective or impersonal point of view in writing. 3 ways in explaining a concept. So in writing a concept paper, you may use the following 3. First is definition, followed by explication and clarification. These 3 almost sounds the same, but what is their difference? When we say definition, you just provide the meaning. You answer the question, what does it mean? When you use explication, you get a direct quotation or a direct line from a material. You interpret it or you explain it further. That is explication. Clarification, on the other hand, from the word itself, you clarify a general idea or concept by providing specific or concrete examples. The focus of our next discussion will be about the art of defining. Okay. So definition is a mode of paragraph development. If you remember the different text structures, one of them is definition. It answers the questions: what is it? What does it mean? What are its special features? The word to be defined may be an object, a concept, even a person, or a place, or a phenomenon, or an event. So this time, I will be discussing about the different ways on how you can write a definition. The first one is formal definition. It is based upon a concise, logical pattern that includes as much information as it can within a minimum amount of space. What does that mean? In a single sentence, you can actually provide a formal definition. This idea came from Aristotle, so it is used even before over times. So this formal definition is a sentence that contains these three parts. The first one is the term or the word or phrase that is being defined. The class, this is the category or the group wherein this term being defined belongs to. And then it's defining or differentiating characteristics. This is its unique qualities or attributes that sets it apart from all the other things that also belong in the same class. To concretize that idea to you, here is an example. Comic books are sequential and narrative publications consisting of illustrations, captions, dialogue balloons, and often focus on superpowered heroes. So this sentence is a formal definition, meaning it must have the term, the class, and the differentiating characteristics. So where can we actually find it here? The term to start is comic books, and it is classified to belong into the sequential and narrative publications. So to explain this briefly, sequential, it has a series. If you read comic books, you know that there is a volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, so it's sequential. And the comic books tell you a story, so it is a narrative publication. And there are other materials that are also sequential and narrative, such as novels or other stories that you may know. They may be sequential and narrative as well. But its differentiating characteristic is that it consists illustrations, captions, dialogue balloons, and it's almost always about superheroes. So as you can see, in a single sentence, we define the word comic books formally by writing or by providing its class and differentiating characteristics. Aside from that, you can also use extended definition. But before we go through that, let's try this activity. Guess the term being defined. Kindly comment down below if you know the answer. Blank is a liquid made up of molecules of hydrogen and oxygen in the ratio of 2:1. So what is being defined here? The answer is water. So that is the term being defined. In this sentence, what is its class? It is a liquid. So as we all know, there are also other different types of liquids, but what is or how does water differentiate itself from all those other liquids? So it is made up of molecules of hydrogen and oxygen in the ratio of 2:1. In short, H2O. Okay. What about this one? Blank is a literary text that contains lines, rhymes, and symbolisms. The answer is a poem. And its class is a literary text. So as we all know, there are different literary texts. Short stories, novel, even a script or a play. But the differentiating characteristics of a poem is that it contains lines, rhymes, and symbolisms. How about this last one? Blank is a branch of scientific study primarily concerned with celestial objects inside and outside of the Earth's atmosphere. The answer is astronomy. And what is its class? It is a scientific study, a branch of scientific study, just like botany or biology or chemistry. But how is it different from all those other branches? It is concerned about celestial objects, inside and outside of the Earth's atmosphere. Ayun. So I hope that clears up what formal definition is. Let's proceed to the different extended definition techniques. The first one is explaining the word's historical roots, which is also known as etymology. So when you provide the origin of the word, that is etymology. What do we mean by that? For example, you mentioned that this word came from the Latin word or came from the Spanish word or French word. So if you provide that origin of the word, you are actually using the technique of etymology. However, if you are describing its looks or how it feels, how it sounds like, how it tastes or smells like, and even identify its parts, that is actually description. When you describe naman, or when you provide how something is used or the process or the procedure in which how it works, you're actually providing the principles of operation. So to set those two apart, for example, if you say that your cell phone has a 10-inch screen and so on, that is description since you're describing how it looks like. But if you will explain how your phone works, like for example, you click this button to open this, etc., etc., that is principles of operation. When you explain what it is not by providing examples or noting similarities or differences from other terms, that is comparison and contrast. Aside from those four, you can also discuss how the situation came about or how something came about and its effects. So that is cause and effect. If you show how it fits into a larger category, that is classification. For example, if you say a pineapple is a tropical fruit. So since you define the word pineapple by mentioning that it is a tropical fruit, it is classification. Since there are also other tropical fruits, so it is a umbrella term wherein the pineapple belongs to. So it's classification. And lastly, you can also compare to the similar topics where the second is familiar to the audience, which is an analogy. So here is an example for you. When we say Mahatma Gandhi is the Jose Rizal of India. So when we say Mahatma Gandhi is the Jose Rizal of India, it means that since Jose Rizal is the national hero of the Philippines, as we all know, and Mahatma Gandhi is the Jose Rizal of India, it means that Mahatma Gandhi is the national hero of India. Okay, so that is an analogy for you. Those two persons are different, Mahatma and Jose Rizal. We're not pertaining to a single person. But using analogy, we were able to define who Mahatma Gandhi is. So that's analogy. So we all know the 7 techniques of extended definition: etymology, description, principles of operation, comparison and contrast, cause and effect, classification, and analogy. Those are just some examples of extended definitions. There are also other examples that you can learn if you are just going to research it. So there are different materials provided for you that have different examples of techniques, but these are the only ones that we will be discussing because of our short time. So for this activity, I will be reading this definition and will identify what type of technique is used. So the word obsess is formed from Latin roots ob and sidere, which mean opposite from and to sit, respectively. So if you're really obsessive, you may be found sitting across from the target of your interest, leaning in creepily, waiting their next move. What technique of definition is used here? The answer is etymology, since we mentioned its Latin roots, so its historical roots, origin. Next, modern digital radio carries information as a digital signal, coded in the form of numbers. Millions of radio waves carrying sound wave signals and digital signals reach your receiver every second, and then a speaker converts the signal to the sound waves that you hear. What technique is used here? The answer is principles of operation, since you are discussing how a modern digital radio works. Next, the mango fruit is roughly oval in shape with uneven sides. The fruit is a drupe with an outer flesh surrounding a stone. The flesh is soft and bright yellow-orange in color. The skin of the fruit is yellow-green to red. Mango trees can grow to a height of 45 meters or 148 feet and can live for in excess of 100 years. This is actually description. So clearly, it describes how a mango fruit looks like. How about this one? The Pomeranian, often known as a Pom, is a breed of dog of the Spitz type that is named for the Pomerania region in northwest Poland and northeast Germany in Central Europe. This is classification, since it says that the Pomeranian is a breed of dog. An arbiter is like a referee. He or she listens to both sides and makes a decision as to who is at fault without the intervention of outside parties. This is actually analogy, since it's comparing a vague term arbiter to a common term referee in order for you to understand what it means. This one, gender refers to the socially constructed roles, behavior, expressions, and identities of girls, women, boys, men, and gender-diverse people, unlike sex, which categorizes male and female based on biological attributes only. This is comparison and contrast, since it's discussing the similarities and differences between gender and sex. This is the last one. A rainbow is caused by sunlight and atmospheric conditions. Light enters a water droplet, slowing down and bending as it goes from air to denser water. The light reflects off the inside of the droplet, separating into its component wavelengths or colors. This is actually cause and effect. So the clue is already there. A rainbow is caused by. Okay, and that's it for our lesson for today. Now let's proceed to what to answer this week. So for this week, you only have 2 activities, 1 written work and 1 performance task. So for your written work, all you have to do is to analyze the following items, and if they are pertaining to an effective way of writing a concept paper, write E. If it is not, write N, as simple as that. For the performance task, there are 2 paragraphs that you will use in order for you to accomplish the table below. So as you can see here, there are 2 columns, terms to be defined and techniques used in defining. And there are 2 rows numbered 1 and 2. So for the first row, number 1, all you have to do is to write the term being defined in paragraph 1, and then on the next column, write the techniques used in defining that word in paragraph 1. So the same is done on paragraph 2. You write here the term being defined in paragraph 2 and the techniques used in defining the term in paragraph 2. Afterwards, you will be answering the reflection questions, wherein you will be discussing about the part of this LAS which you have encountered with difficulty, and also the part where you learned easily. Doesn't have to be long, 2 to 3 sentences will suffice. Okay, and that is it for this video. If you have questions, kindly comment down below or send me a message on Messenger or in our Google Classroom. Thank you so much.